Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. And you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
My favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly.
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.
Hey there, everyone. It's welcome to episode 115 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. We've got an amazing show tonight. Starting off a little bit sad, unfortunately, but first up, let's welcome our panel. We've got Braggy down there in Adelaide, and we've got Rossy in Sydney. How are we, boys?
Excellent.
It's lovely to be here, Tony.
It
always is.
Rossy, you say that each and every week, and
Rossy, you look a little less stressed than last week.
Oh man, I've had a much more relaxed week. It's great. I've just had to go to work every day.
So that helps. But let's start off with a little bit of the news that's been reverberating around the world. Let's. I'm going to start off, Braggy, and then I'll pass to you.
You start with your hero.
Unfortunately, we lost Ron Pino this week, and Ron Pino was, of course, the singer-songwriter of Died Pretty here in Australia. And it's been amazing to see all the testimonials and the posts about Ron over the weekend. It obviously affected many, many people. And I was really quite surprised that I was affected as much as what I was. So when I saw it, I was shocked on Saturday morning, Rossy. I shed a tear. Now, it was just, he's such a powerful songwriter. And now,
so they were your favourite band, Curly, weren't they? Pretty much.
Pretty close to it. I'd
Yeah,
say Died Pretty. And yeah.
I knew Ron. I dealt with him a lot over the years, but he's really very close to a lot of my friends, like Michael, like Mick Magew and he were very, very close because they co-wrote Igloo together.
Yes.
He wrote some songs. He wrote a song for the Hitmen called "It's So Hard" with Tony Robertson and John Canis, and of course Tony Robertson and Mick Magew were in the 31st with Ron in Brisbane. And Ron was originally from the Central Coast of New South Wales, and he sort of came to Sydney. He was kind of part of that Radio Birdman, Oxford Street scene with the Hellcat. So he's just had this presence through everybody I know, like Warwick Fraser, the drummer in the Tribesmen as well, was very close. He was best man at Warwick's wedding. He was best man at Tony Robertson's wedding. Ron's been a constant for everyone, and everyone just loves him, and that's the thing. They all loved him. All those who knew him loved him.
And it's probably odds on that maybe one of his lyrics might be the lyric of the week. So, but one of the best testimonials that I saw came out of the Dig It Up page, which was when the Gurus toured a couple of years back and did Stone Age Romeos from Go to Woe. And basically it said, in a world without fear, Ron Pino, aka Ronnie Pop, would be fated as an outstanding lyricist, a brilliant singer, and a charismatic frontman. But that's okay, because in our world he is all that. And I think that just sums it up.
I can still see your emotional, Curly. That's beautiful.
To juxtapose, the other person who passed away in that similar sort of universe was Lewis Tillett from the Wet Taxis in Sydney. And Lewis Tillett and Ron were pretty close. And Penny Eichinger, who is Penny? What do you know of Penny Eichinger? Guitar player. She was the guitar player in the Wet Taxis, but she used to work at the Commonwealth Employment Service in Sydney. And she was in the Darlinghurst office of the Dole office. So all the musicians would have to go down and present their Dole forms to her. And she would, and I won't mention any names, but people we know would go down and give her the doll form, and she would go, absolutely fine. They were viewed as arts grants.
Very sympathetic.
And
That's cool.
That is cool.
That's so 70s and 80s Australia, though.
And on Penny's page, she wrote, two of Australia's most brilliant musicians have left our mortal coil, true forces of nature, magical, mystical, maverick creatures with a talent that reached far beyond what most could hope to even imagine.
Yeah.
An almost supernatural talent, having led to carry in an earthbound pop star. He's driven well, but in this, they were fearless and uncompromising, true gentlemen,
beautiful.
wise men, and statesmen of rock. She was great. She knew them all. And it is really sad. Ronnie did his last show in Sydney, and my mate Barman put on his last show in Sydney, and he played the Sydney to a full house, and it was just full of love. So
awesome.
he went out with surrounded, knowing that people loved him, and that's all you can hope for, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And Braggy, you've had
two of my favorites we lost since the last time we did last week when we did the episode as well. So one of them is Sixto Rodriguez.
Yep, that's right.
So I think a lot of people would know this, especially in Australia. I grew up with my brother had that same record. I grew up with listening to that, and I didn't realize. None of us, I think, realized that no one in America knew him. We thought he was a big star in America, and if you watch the movie Sugar Man, you'll find all about him. He was 81. I reckon he's like the Mexican Bob Dylan in my mind. Unbelievable lyrics. I really loved him.
Okay.
And the other person who kind of went under the radar a little bit, not many people know, but I love this band especially. It was Robbie Robinson from the band.
The band. Yeah, okay.
So this is Robbie Robinson here.
Yeah.
And he's the last one. All those guys are gone now. And Robbie Robinson was in the band, and the band were probably a lot of people say that they're the reason Bob Dylan went electric. He heard them play and he thought, I'm going to go electric. And he actually got them to be his backing band when he went electric. And they traveled and toured around and just got booed.
Yeah.
And then obviously they're famous for songs like The Wait and The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down. They were at Woodstock. So that's how special they were.
I went and saw the band, The Last Waltz, the Martin Scorsese film at the State Theatre. I think it was
everybody should watch that.
I did not understand it at all. I was a kid. I just thought I should go and see it. I didn't have a clue what I was seeing.
That's a fantastic movie to watch because if you watch, they've got all those famous people that come and play, and the band back them, and it's almost like it's a different band every time another artist comes on. That's how good they were. They just changed to suit whoever they're playing. Okay.
So, sincere apologies, Laura, for that. It's you probably
dragged it.
Also, we actually had another loss too. And it's even sadder. Curly lost his dog as well. So I'm just going to mention that because people are dog people on the weekend. Milton is gone.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And
sorry,
it's
a sad start.
It's a sad start. So let's welcome our guest. This is recently dubbed the most promising future star at the TCNF People's Choice Awards. Please welcome Laura Frank to the podcast. How are you, Laura?
Hey, Laura.
Hi. I'm good. That was
there's a lot of material for country songs just there.
That's very true.
Even the dog.
Did you just learn something, or?
I did. I learnt a few things then because I'm sorry, I don't actually really know any of those bands except for Bob Dylan. But I'm going to jump off this call and go and talk to my partner who grew up in Sydney and is quite a bit older than me. So I'm sure he will know.
He'll know for sure.
Yeah. Sydney's where it's at.
Yeah,
absolutely. So Laura, you're making quite some headway in the charts with previous music and your current new single called Leaving. But before we get into that, I'm going to pass over to my good mate Braggy, who always likes to know a certain.
I always like to know, Laura, how it all started. I want to know what the spark was when you were a kid. Is like your parents, were they musos, or what was it that you went, fuck, you know what, I'm going to be a muso?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad you said fuck then, because now I know I can swear.
Oh yeah, you can swear.
I wasn't sure. None of my family is musical. none of them play instruments, none of them sing, and so it was a little foreign to me, I guess. Although having said that, I did learn after I did a radio interview not long ago that apparently my great-great-grandma maybe was in theatre, and sad story, she had to wear somebody else's costume for one night and she caught tuberculosis and died. So
shit. No.
and my mum just randomly texts that to me after the interview saying, oh, by the way, and I was like, mate, you could have given me the heads up before that. Anyway, moving on from the sad.
Gold copy. Gold copy.
I was a dancer. So I started dancing when I was 5. I did ballet, tap and jazz. And through that, we were doing Eisteddfods, which meant we were doing song and dances. So we were singing, a whole bunch of different songs. And eventually when I was about 12 years old, my dancing teacher kind of pointed me out and was like, hey, I think you can actually sing. Like, I think you're okay at that. And then they started throwing me into doing solo song and dances. So, I would get up on stage and sing stuff like Part of That World from The Little Mermaid, which has made a massive comeback now. I should do a cover of it. And Castle on a Cloud from Les Mis and, those kinds of things.
Musical theatre time.
Yeah.
Correct. So that kind of happened when I was 12 and I kind of just kept singing from then. But I didn't really start like songwriting or kind of thinking that music was my way forward until I was a teenager. And my brother's girlfriend at the time, her family was quite musical and they bought my brother a guitar.
Right.
And he never played it. And so I just picked it up and I started just mucking around on it. He's a lefty, so it was a left-handed guitar. So I'm right-handed. So I was,
playing upside down?
Yeah. Well, I think I did at some point play upside down. I was like, pretty sure that's not right. And then after listening to The Captain by Casey Chambers and The Sound of White by Missy Higgins, those 2 albums kind of made me go, I want to be a songwriter.
Cool.
I think that's where it's at. And I didn't really stop after that. I just kept kind of dabbling. We didn't have music as a subject at school, so I didn't get to do it at school. I kind of just had to figure it out. And I did some, you guys would know the band Chocolate Starfish.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So the lead singer, Adam Thompson, he's a very good friend of mine and has been a mentor of mine for a long time. So he came to my school when I was about 14 and did his Muso Magic program, which was the first experience that I had with kind of recording. So basically they go into schools, they write a song with a group of kids and then we record it. And these days we also film a music video, but back then we weren't doing that. We would like design our CD artwork and do all that business. So he kind of gave me my first taste of, the recording process and that kind of thing. And from there I was hooked. It was that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's cool. So are you still involved with that? So you're still involved with the school thing?
I totally am.
That's cool.
Yeah, well, I
did it at my school.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great program. I did it a few times and then we had work experience in high school. So I pestered him to do work experience. And then after that, he just kept asking me to do it and he taught me how to be the facilitator. And then we now go out to Indigenous communities in the Northern Territory and go out to schools out there and do it, which is great. So cool.
Excellent. And Chocolate Starfish were a little bit maligned, I guess, for their cover version of You're So Vain. Many people remember that, but they actually had some decent music of their own as well.
Some cracker originals for sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what the hit was.
Their most famous original was Mountain. You wanted me to be a mountain.
Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah. That was their most famous one.
Nice bit of vocals there, Laura.
It was quite good, actually. I think this girl's got a bit of a future, Curly.
So tell us about Leaving. So the latest single's Leaving. So, and it's a little bit melancholy is how I would describe it, and there's a bit of depth in there, and there's obviously some meaning behind the song. So share that. Let's talk about how the song came to live.
Totally. Well, I spent a lot of my all of my early adult years being an entrepreneur. When I was 21, I was with not my current partner, a different one at that time. We were both in the fitness industry, and we decided to open a gym, a mixed martial arts strength and conditioning gym of all things. So, I was running my own business for like 8 years. And then because we also had a cafe during that time as well. So I was pretty immersed in like the business world trying to make it work. And so when that relationship kind of eventually dissipated and I met my current partner, Nick, we started writing music together. He's a creative. He was a photographer, or still is a photographer when I met him. And we started writing songs, and we got to the point where it's like, man, we want to do this full time. How do we be full-time musicians? And for us in Queensland, in Brisbane at that time, it meant doing the covers thing, going to pubs, playing cover shows, as it does for many. So we started doing that, and we were pretty busy up till COVID. We started to build a little bit of a following and loyal venues and all that kind of thing. And then COVID hit and we kind of lost everything, as everybody did. But then after COVID, it was just busier than ever. And we were so booked constantly. Like we would play sometimes 6 shows in a weekend, and it was massive. It was because you would just say yes to everything.
Yep.
And then what happened during that time is I kind of had this realization of going, hang on a minute. I fell out of love with it. I was singing cover songs for like 16 hours every weekend going, man, I feel like just a jukebox at the moment. And I started to get really upset with people, which is terrible, because they just wanted to hear songs that they knew and they just wanted to be able to sing along. And I'm like, just go put Spotify on. Like, you don't need me.
Yeah, I know.
I know exactly how that feels. I still feel that way.
I'm sorry.
Cover gigs.
Yeah. And there's totally a place for cover gigs, and we still do play them. It just became the wrong, like we were just doing it for the wrong reasons. And so, shall I pause?
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Keep going after the, all right. So what happened was, you get requested the same songs all the time, blah, blah, blah. I fell out of love with it. I got really jaded. And then I decided to start to refocus on original music and Laura Frank and try and just spark a better balance between playing cover shows and playing original shows and not having to solely rely on cover shows to live. And that's where Leavin' came from. So Leavin' is basically just a song about feeling stuck in that space and not really knowing kind of how to navigate through it, because you've built this really comfortable life being a cover artist, and like I know I can get those gigs and pay the bills, but it's not setting my soul on fire, if that's not too much to say.
When you
just off the top of your head, the top of your head, what cover song would you never want to sing again?
Wagon Wheel.
That
was maybe too quick to answer.
Very quick, came very quick.
Yeah. There's always one that gets you.
Yeah, it always does. All right, so we're going to break for Braggy's Who Am I?
Okay, but I have a question to come back to. So I want to see this question come back. Okay, we ready?
Yep.
Okay. The first part. I was born on August 28th, 1965 in Windsor, Ontario. My parents divorced when I was 2, and my mother moved to Timmins, Ontario, with me and my 2 sisters. It was there my mother met Jerry, a Chippewa from the nearby Matagami First Nations. They had a son, Mark, together. Jerry adopted me and my siblings and legally changed our surname. When Mark was a toddler, Jerry and Mum adopted Jerry's baby nephew, Daryl. When his mother died, his way to raise 5 children, 3 that weren't even his. We were a family, and the words stepfather and stepbrothers were never used in our home. To have referred to him as my stepfather would have been a slap across the face to him. Despite this, it was a difficult childhood. My parents earned little money, and food was often scarce in our household. On top of this, my mother struggled with bouts of depression. It was because of this situation that I started singing in bars at the age of 8 to help pay my family's bills. I often earned $20 between midnight and 1 a.m. performing for my remaining customers after the bar had finished serving alcohol. Although I disliked singing in those bars, it became my own kind of performing arts school on the road. There were moments when I thought, I hate this. I hate going in the bars and being with drunks, but I love the music, so I survived.
Wow.
That's part 1.
I think Rossi's got it already.
Yeah, I was going to say Rossy already knows it. I don't.
Hell, Rossy, you're unbelievable.
Oh no, this one. Look,
You know this one? Anybody else?
Look,
Laura?
No.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I like her ex-husband.
Oh.
Don't give it away.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. That's all I'm doing.
Okay. All right.
How do
so
you know it's
Braggy-
a her?
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Is that another
Yeah.
clue? Yeah.
Could be.
Now,
Now, Laura.
first, I know a lot of Canadians.
Okay. Now, Laura, were you playing music when you had your business with your previous?
I was. Yes, I was, but not as much as I
Not as
did
much.
after we didn't have it. Yeah.
So it's the upheaval that kind of really
Spurred
gave
it
you
on.
that thing. Because I'm really interested in that. So many artists, nearly all artists, start doing some of their best stuff when there is an upheaval in their life.
Yeah.
So, because I noticed some of the other songs, because I've been like stalking you on Spotify today.
Yeah, thank you.
That's probably not the right word, but
Fun.
like
You could
like
have
the
discovered
road.
the four
The road
seasons.
is a similar song. It's like you're
Yeah.
trying to figure out where you're going, but then it seems that by the time you get to leaving, you've kind of figured it. Will that be right?
That's right. That's right. And Leaving was really, the road was written during COVID as well.
Ah, okay.
So Leaving was after COVID, but the road was during COVID. And that was, a little time after we'd made the decision to go full time. And we moved back out to the bush and we're like, what are we doing here? Because we now have no work. And yeah, totally. Just, as an
It's gutsy.
artist, you would know, but you're just constantly questioning like everything.
Yes.
What's the right road to go? You never know.
No,
until
that's
you
right. It's the
write
same
it.
as when you write a song, you never know. Is it good? Is it shit?
That's
Yeah.
right.
No perspective.
No.
Yeah.
Not when you're in the middle of it, you don't.
No.
You just got to trust yourself and go for it.
Yeah, definitely. That's a huge thing that I've learnt in my short 33 years. Yeah, trust my instincts more, for sure.
Tell us about your tiny home.
Full disclaimer, it is not actually tiny.
Okay.
Jules was like, I'm leaving it in there because it's good and you can talk about it. So
Okay.
it started out as a tiny home because we were living in this 1-bedroom apartment in Ascot, the shitty part of Ascot, not the good part. Yeah, Curly will understand that.
Curly understands.
We're on
Yeah.
the wrong side of the race course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Nick was out taking photos that night working, and I was at home by myself, and we had just had a shitty neighbor move in. Yeah. And I was so over it. And anyway, I was watching Netflix and I was watching Tiny House Nation. And I'm very lucky because my parents and my grandparents have been very incredible to me. And we had some land out in the scenic rim where I grew up that I had a block on out here that was kind of vacant, just sitting here doing nothing. Anyway, I was watching Tiny House Nation. I had a shitty neighbor next to me. And I'm like, man, I can fucking do that. I can build a tiny house for no money.
Yeah.
by myself. And at that point in time, we were trying to be as sustainable as we possibly could. So we were doing, I think, 0 plastic at that time, which is so hard. But we were doing our best. And anyway, so I was like, man, so I was straight on the phone to Dad, and he was right on board. He was like, yeah, let's do it. So I have this house that I now live in. My dad is a very key part of that because of their kind of endless support of me and my stupid decisions. Anyway, so then we moved out here just before COVID lockdowns, lived in a caravan. It was very lucky timing. Lived in a caravan just down below my mum and dad's house. And we would walk over the hill, and me, Nick, and my dad would just work on building the house out of as much recycled stuff as we could.
That's so cool.
Look, like so many people see those shows and go, I want to do that. How many people do it?
Yeah.
That's incredible. From what I've read, you're a real high achiever, right? Like you're a driven person who's a high achiever. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. I'm really like that. I'm in awe of that. That's fantastic.
But what a great space to start to be creative as well.
Yeah.
No wonder you started to think, why am I doing covers when I'm out here?
Right. Well, that was the dream, to build this little kind of abode. We're surrounded by eucalypt trees. I watch koalas and wallabies from my bedroom window. And it's so quiet. We have no neighbors. Like, the dream was to come out here and just write music, which we don't do enough of. But, we're out here. And the house is 100 square meters. So it's modest, but it's not tiny.
Okay.
But it's sustainable, which is awesome in itself. So Laura, you had a visit, I believe, to a correctional facility where you where you played Leaving. So tell us about how that came about and what was the impact.
Well, after I won the award at Tamworth, the Most Promising Future Star Award, I received a message just on Facebook from somebody asking if we would like to visit a correctional centre and take part in one of the programs that they run there for the inmates. And I immediately went, Johnny Cash, yes.
Exactly.
Great.
As everyone thinks, yes.
Totally. So, no idea what to expect. I'd not obviously, but I've never been to a correctional centre before. And so we rocked up, and we, and when I say we, it was just myself and Nick, my partner. And we just had a chat. We just sat in front of a group of guys. We talked about my life. Nick talked about his life. They asked us questions. We sang some songs. Leavin' was one of those songs, and we sang it before it was released. So it was a little bit of a treat for those guys.
Exclusive, yeah.
That's right. And, one of the guys put their hands up and was like, man, it's like you wrote that song just over there, on that hill there. And I was like, man, that's like to know that you can connect with not just people living their lovely everyday lives, but also people who have suffered such kind of hardship and, they're going through some shit, is really humbling and really kind of solidifies why I do what I do. So it was really special.
That's great.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I'm on my way again, being feel so closed in, and I'll be gone for a while. I've been staring at the walls too long. I don't want to be too far gone, so I'm leaving right now. Watch the people passing by, lucky they can read my mind. I don't know where this train's going, but I'm never coming back again. I'll just watch the trees
can write a song that touches just one person, hey,
That's right.
just a special thing.
Yeah. Often we'll talk about songs mean something to the songwriter, but then everyone brings their own interpretation into it. And I think that's a really good example that you've just shown. Is Leaving for you was about something completely different, but the inmates said, well, this is about us getting out of here. And, it's, I hope you didn't cause like everyone suddenly digging tunnels and everything in their cells.
they brought out the vaulting horse. They brought out the vaulting horse. They're digging up under the vaulting horse. Right?
Laura's got a file in the guitar case.
That's right. We got invited back, so I don't think it caused too much.
You know, though, Laura, it takes a certain skill to write lyrics that will relate to more than just the one person. You have to really think about it. And I know you're a Bruce Springsteen fan, and he's one of my favorites of all time. I love Bruce to death. My family don't understand why I love Bruce so much. But
people don't get it either.
I know, they don't get it.
Read his lyrics. Have a listen to his albums. Come on.
Yeah, and his lyrics are just so. I mean, he's probably even more abstract sometimes, some of his lyrics, but I don't know. They take me to places for sure, and whether they're the right places where he was expecting to go, it doesn't matter.
He tells stories. That's right. And you go with him on the journey every time.
Yeah. And which is, I mean, it's a country thing to tell stories. I know nearly most country songs will tell stories. There's not a lot, you know what I mean? So in the pop world, I guess Bruce's pop is rock. He's exceptional there, like along with Paul Kelly.
Yeah, 100%.
I love that.
Now your back catalogue that's on Spotify, it's sort of every song's unique anyway, but there's some real shifts in direction for some of them, and there's some that are similar. There's the one that I really like, and I've just got to make sure I get the title right, is Days Gone By. And to me, that's got a little bit of that rockiness about it that's sort of a little bit different to especially different from Leaving. Correct. So tell us about Days Gone By. Where did that one come from?
Days Gone By was it was kind of a follow-up to Leaving. And if I'm remembering this correctly, there was one day we were sitting on our front deck and we ended up writing 2 songs just in really quick succession. Like it was 30 minutes. And again, when I say we, myself and Nick, we write all of our music together. We're very much, I am Laura Frank, but it's very much kind of a collaboration. He doesn't like to be in the limelight, so I take that.
You get double. You get double.
Willingly.
Willingly, exactly. So I have a really strong feeling that it was Leaving and Days Gone By that we wrote kind of, one after another. And the reason is because Leaving, as you say, it's very much kind of melancholy, self-reflective, working through that emotion of where I'm at and where I'm going and trying to figure that out. And lots of people and I myself, it's so easy to sit in that and just get stuck there and to look back on your life and all the things you've done and the mistakes you made and even the successes and kind of not be able to relish in them or, really kind of celebrate them. And I just got to a point in my life where I was like, man, I don't want to look back at all that shit and think that I made all this mess, like I want to look back and go, no, those days were awesome because look at where I am, how hard I work, like all of that kind of grit, determination, all of that came from me trying to make a mixed martial arts gym work when I was in my 20s instead of going
with the hospitality industry business as well.
Yeah, wow.
That's insane. Like either one would kill you.
I will never have a cafe again, I'll tell you that. But a gym I would make you do again. So that's where Days Gone By came from. I just wanted to write something that was, really encouraging people to celebrate everything, all of the past mistakes, and successes as well.
You've got to celebrate your wins.
That's right.
Yeah.
And even the little wins, like we always forget to celebrate just the little things. And I do this every day. Don't do that. And I just think we need to do that more.
Hold tight, going out tonight, baby. I'll drive. Let's get out of this town. Let's get out of this town. Deep dive, faster than the moonlit sky. I'll buy. Let's drink whiskey all night. Here where my shadows lie. And I'm tossed into days gone by. And I ain't about to waste any more time. And I'm tossed into days gone by, taking the back road one last time. And I'm stepping from the shadows to the light. This life, there's so many roundabouts. Something I could do without. Something I could do without. Don't mind picking up the tab tonight. I've been holding on way too tight. It ain't worth the fight. And I'm tossed into days gone by. And I ain't about to waste any more time. And I'm tossed into days gone by, taking the back road one last time. And I'm stepping from the shadows to the light. So I'm gonna draw the line.
I'm one of the ones I like in the back catalogue that I've written down here is Pretty Girl because, well, I have a daughter who's a very
Yeah.
feisty
Yeah.
daughter. I have a wife of 34 years who has been the breadwinner for most of that period. So I'm definitely a feminist through and through. Well, it's a dumb thing. Like, do you think men and women are equal? Well, then you're a feminist. It's like, it's a crazy thing anyway to say. But so, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I
everyone
do.
should be. Yeah.
Right.
So I really like that, and I like the way you're talking about. I mean, have you found any pitfalls being a woman in this business so far?
I mean,
Obviously, it's a yes.
how specific do I get here? Like,
Yeah, okay.
I
I mean,
talking-
I like the song too. I think it's got what you most likes, hasn't it?
yeah, it may do. Oh, time again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may do. And this single, I think, really is the first single where, and I'm going to talk about myself in third person here as much as I hate that.
That's fine.
Is really the first single where Laura Frank kind of found her voice, I think. The two songs that happened prior to this, I was still trying to navigate what that meant, what I was. And then Pretty came, and I think I kind of found that. But yes, to answer your question, Braggy, 100%. And there's some particular commercial radio stations that they're a male fest, and it's so difficult for females to kind of break into that, and even festival lineups, and it's still just all about the men.
Yeah,
because
I've seen some silly guys on festival lineups, that's for sure.
I do think it's interesting, like as a performer, and I've been having this conversation with some young folks lately that, like when you're on stage, you're Laura Frank, but when you're off stage, you're Laura Frank, but they're not the same person, right?
Not always, no.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Right.
So Frank is not actually my last name. for those any people who didn't know. So usually what happens is, there is a version of me that is not quite as at home, I'm quiet and I'm fairly introverted and I've just got my head down and I'm just doing shit. And I am not that person on stage. Yeah. So there's definitely kind of two ends of the scale, I think. Yeah.
It's
you
interesting.
Need to do your own health.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've recently been watching some Miley Cyrus interviews where she's talking about when she did Hannah Montana. And it was really hard for her because in that show, she was one person and then another person. Like she was the Hannah Montana. And then and she said, because she was so young, that really messed with her, a lot.
Yeah, I think it would.
Yeah. Okay, part two.
Part two.
At age 13, I was singing for a local band called Long Shot, which covered top 40 music. No, Laura's thinking now. In the early 1980s, I spent time working with my father's reforestation business in northern Ontario, living out in the woods for days at a time, walking miles and carrying heavy loads of trees and equipment. It was a very rugged existence, but I was very creative, and I would sit alone in the forest with my dog and a guitar and would just write songs. I graduated from Tim's High in June 1983, eager to expand my musical horizons. After Longshot's demise, I was approached by a cover band called Flirt and toured all over Ontario with them. I also took singing lessons from Toronto-based coach Ian Garrett, often cleaning his house as payment. In the autumn of 1984, my talents were noticed by Toronto DJ Stan Campbell, who wrote about me in Country Music News article. I was asked to sing backup on the song Heavy on the Sunshine by Canadian singer Tim Dennis, and my future began to look bright. I sang at the Sunbury Northern Lights Festival, covering Willie Nelson's Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain and Hank Williams' I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. But then in 1987, tragedy struck. My mother and stepfather were killed in a car accident approximately 50 kilometres north of Wawa, Ontario. I moved back to Timmins to take care of my younger siblings and took them all to Huntsville, where I supported them by earning money performing at the nearby Deerhurst Resort. Tough life.
Oh, yeah. Hard to imagine, too.
You think you know it, Laura, don't you?
I think I do, but now I'm worried about getting it wrong.
That's all right. That's right.
There are no wrong answers on Braggy's Who Am I?
That's true.
Curly always
how are you
gets
going,
it.
Curly?
Yeah, no idea. So Curly never gets it, Laura. So you're okay. So can I just talk about your film clips? Your film clips are outstanding. Yeah.
Thank you.
Is Nick part of that?
Yeah. So we make our film clips ourselves.
Yeah.
So everything that you watch on YouTube at the moment, this is about to change, is totally shot, directed, edited, produced by just Nick and I. And so usually the way that it works is, I'll come up with an idea, I'll float it with Nick, he'll tell me why it won't work. We will
I know him. I think I know him.
We then come up with a compromise. And then we make it happen. And I usually edit it. So all the editing is kind of done by me, and most of the technical kind of shooting and that kind of stuff is done by Nick. Yeah.
I love the way the world is made from musos. I mean, I know there's a lot of bad things with getting paid 1.0013 of a cent for every listen and all that sort of shit, but and Rossy, you'll agree with this, it's so punk now that you just do everything yourself, which is what I love about. It's punk. It's what it is.
I've
you
always
do
been part of that
yourself.
world.
Yeah.
I was working for a band in 1983, and I remember sitting in a kitchen, and we're slipping the records inside covers, and then someone's job was to go to the shop the next day and get them placed. I love that.
Yeah,
See, it was harder back then to do it.
I know a young man who's been hitting record shops up and has got records in shops in Sydney. It's great. He's been going around going, "Here you go, please take my record," and they're taking it.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
But that's great, Laura, that you make it yourself.
You've got to make it yourself. That's great because you can save so much money.
Not only that, you've got total creative control over everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you know better than anyone what the song's about and how it should look.
But back in the old days of the music business, the record company would give you a $50,000 advance, and you'd spend it on $50,000 on a video clip, and then your record would come out and you'd be in debt $50K to the record company. You know, that's the problem. Is that everyone would lose money making video clips. But now you can do a clip for a couple of $100, really.
You easily can. Yeah. And you can do it on your phone now. Man.
Yeah, Railmater made one on his phone.
Looks great. That stuff. I just love that people do this. I think it's it's awesome. Empowering. It's empowering.
It is empowering.
Yeah. So we'll make sure we've got your YouTube channel in the show notes, and people can go check it out. And I'd encourage everyone to check out Laura's cover version of Flame Trees, shot in a Tamworth park. So
what a song.
So a little bit of sound issues, as a very kind putter pointed out. So
is there flame trees in Tamworth?
Get over yourself, mate. Do it. You do better.
Kids out driving Saturday afternoon, just pass me by. I'm just savoring familiar sights. We share some history, this town and I can't stop that long forgotten feeling of her. Trying to book a room and stay tonight. Number one is to find some friends to say you're doing well. After all this time, you boys look just the same. Number two is a happy out at one of two hotels. Settle into play, do you remember?
Is there flame trees in Tamworth?
I don't remember seeing flame trees in Tamworth, but if there are, I'm going to find them and redo that video this January.
I
think it's Grafton, isn't it? The flame trees when you're driving into or out of Grafton. So how have you found Tamworth? Obviously, you've been and you've won some awards there. And how have you found the whole experience of Tamworth for yourself?
I've been a couple of times to Tamworth, and look, it's a great festival, and just 2 weeks of tons of music. It's hot, it's awesome, it's so great.
January.
Yeah. It had been a couple of years since we'd been before this year with the award, just because, again, COVID, all that business. And also, it just gets really tricky because it's one, really expensive to make happen, and two, I find that it's a really kind of tight little circle to get into, if I can be so bold to be honest here.
Well, you're not the average country
singer. It's just us, don't worry.
No. It's just us, no one's even listening, it's fine. I mean, it's great and I love it. I just kind of wish that there were more avenues for, artists who aren't in that sphere, in that sort of mainstream sphere to break in, because there has to be a way, right? We're all just trying to find a way, and everybody likes so many different kinds of music. I don't see any reason why a slightly alternative artist can't also, get some of those.
It's interesting that the first two albums that you fell in love with, are kind of Casey Chambers and Missy Higgins are on the fringes of that.
Yeah.
The
mainstream
mainstream country, and they both made it. So
would something like Big Sound work for you up in Brisbane? Would that be closer?
Funny you mentioned it. I've been to Big Sound a bunch of times. I'm yet to showcase, but officially showcase. I have played a show there once, but it was like an off, not in the program show. And it is great. It really is a great week as well. But again, the country sphere, they tried Big Sound Country last year and kind of put it sort of off to the side, and they tried to make like this thing, and I don't know that it really worked the way they wanted it to. And so this year, apparently they're doing it again, but it hasn't been kind of promoted anywhere. And there's only like maybe 5 country artists in the entire list. And then there's only one kind of country party, which will have like 3 or 4 artists on it. So really, they're not really repping the genre either.
What other festivals are there that are like? I mean, we should probably need our country music correspondent, Curly. But so you got Tamworth, you got Gympie. What else is there?
I mean, even Gympie now has got the Screaming Jets are headlining. So
oh, yuck! Oh, sorry.
I don't want to be here dissing festivals because they're great and we need them and I love them. Yeah. But yeah, really, Kelly, you got
the Screaming Jets are playing Gympie.
Yeah, just shoot me. Didn't the Hoodoo Gurus play it one year though too?
Yeah.
I guess they're just trying to make them draw cards. I guess give people value for money.
Then people want to make money,
but it does represent a problem because we seem to go back to those traditional 80s, 90s sort of
just make a festival for all those old bands. Just do that.
There are a bunch.
Just shoot them all. Shoot them all, I say.
Yeah.
But you're right. What happens when, and heaven forbid, but when their time passes, what happens to festivals when they don't have these, 80s draw fans anymore?
Day on the Green puts Rat Cat on. Just shoot me.
Rat Cat look good though.
I know, I don't mind them. But really, isn't there someone?
But that's the place for that. The Day on the Green with the oldie whiny people going to do. That's the place for that. It's called the nostalgic circuit.
But what I am finding, and I'm
whiny
discovering
as in
this,
WINE, not WHINE.
But what we are seeing is that north of Brisbane, there is a thriving market and a thriving group of creative country performers who are who are Australian, unique voice Australian performers. So where do we get them? Where do we get their voice in? Not everyone's Chad Morgan, Yeah.
Lee Kernaghan, John Williamson,
Well, there's all those guys, but there's a lot of emerging artists, as we know, like CMT try and do a bit of that stuff, I guess. But what do you do?
Yeah,
I think the other hole that country's falling into at the moment is everybody is doing that Nashville pop kind of sound. Everyone's doing the Keith Urban thing, and I'm here going again. I don't want to diss people, but I'm like, man, Keith is doing that already. And they're the people who are getting all the spots on radio, on main stages. There's no kind of voice for. Again, the Casey Chambers and the Missy Higgins
the little bit different.
Isn't that interesting that you're in that was the first thing that got you and
but like
somehow or other you just followed that path. I love that.
I've been in Nashville and you see 20-foot posters of Keith Urban there, like he's a big star over there. So okay, I like Keith. I like what he does. I think it's great. I love the fact that he's done so well. I think it's extraordinary. So if there's one of him, maybe there's another 20. Come on, let's go looking for him,
And you're right. There is a formula, and the formula seems to be I won't call it cookie cutter, but it could be perceived as cookie cutter.
That just doesn't happen in country.
Safe.
It happens in all genres. So we shouldn't be just saying it's bad.
But some of it's we love it, at the end of the day, otherwise it wouldn't be happening. So people are obviously loving it. Hey, Laura, before we go to part 3, I've noticed you put your songs out singly. Is that your future focus?
We always talk about this, Laura.
This is the discussion. This is the model.
This is the ongoing discussion.
The model. It's the
because
model.
We're old.
I get it, because my partner is, as I mentioned, he is a bit older than me, and he's like, man, I'm worried about putting all these singles out, and I'm like,
no, I agree with you. It's what you got to do.
I was like, you got to get with the times, buddy.
You got to look at it like this. You got to look at it like this. An artist will paint some A4 things. This is fantastic. But every now and then you got to do a fucking mural, man.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
got to do something a bit bigger.
It's
So
true. It's true.
Yeah.
And there
I
is.
mean-
I will be
Sorry.
honest. We are planning. No, it's fine. I love
I've
this
got
heated
it.
conversation. It's great. There is a longer body of work on the cards. It is coming. I think
excellent.
part of the problem these days as well is like everybody's consuming things so quickly. So as soon as you put an album out, it's like 30 grand gone.
Yeah,
You put out 11 tracks. You put out one track, you can exploit it. You put out 11 tracks,
Exactly.
9 or 10 disappear.
Yeah.
I was
It's the battle. It's the battle.
Doesn't matter.
Rossi, I was thinking about this when the sad news from Ron came out, and of course they did Doughboy Hollow Go to Woe, and it's recorded live and it's available through Spotify for anyone who really wants to see a Supreme band in action. But I was thinking, because Gurus did Stone Age Romeo from Go to Woe, Doughboy Hollow was done by Died Pretty, and I guess many other bands have all taken an album and
The
just
Saints
played it.
have done that.
Yeah. But I'm wondering about the artists of today, because they don't have that go to woe. They say, well, I'm going to play my first single, and then it's not a concert.
Yeah, that's
then.
true.
So
Some of the bigger artists are still doing it. I mean, Beyonce's Lemonade. That's not that long ago.
Ed Sheeran drops an album, and then 11 tracks are in the top 10.
Yeah,
that's what happens. It does.
Yeah, I mean, they're established.
If those acts are big enough,
I understand you. I get it.
The marketing muscle. They've got the marketing muscle.
That's right.
Anyway,
it's more about marketing now than it is the music.
It is.
And
it's a learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah.
Got to suck it and see.
And it's the way the music's consumed, unfortunately. People just don't have that attention span to just listen to a full album of new music. They can stomach maybe one or two, and then they go back to the old faithful 90s playlist or whatever.
That's what they said about Test cricket. But look at that. It's
here we go.
I knew he'd get cricket in somehow. Braggy.
Well, Laura's obviously sporty, so. Well,
a little. Do we have to have a part 3 clue now?
Yeah, ready for part 3? Ready for part 3?
You just come back and hope.
She's focused. We like her.
You're keeping these boys in check.
When we left in the last episode, it was tragedy.
Oh, okay. Is this when we guess after this, or is it?
After this one, you guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Several years later, when my siblings moved out on their own, I assembled a demo tape of my songs. Even Curly will get it after 3, but
okay.
And my manager set up a showcase for me to present my material to record executives. I caught the attention of a few labels, including Mercury Nashville Records, who signed me within a few months. My self-titled first album was released on April 20, 1993 in North America, and it reached number 67 on the US country album charts and gained positive reviews from critics. When rock producer and Rossi's favorite, Mutt Lange, heard my original songs, he offered to produce and write songs with me. I love this part. After many telephone calls, conversations, we met in Nashville in June 1993, became close friends immediately, got married in December of the same year, and co-wrote every song on my second album, The Woman in Me. However, the best was yet to come, and the follow-up album, Come On Over, established me as a successful crossover singer. Of the 16 tracks on the album, 12 were released as singles. The album peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and stayed on the charts for the next 2 years, going on to sell 40 million copies worldwide, making it the biggest selling album of all time by a female musician. So legendary that I've just started my second residency at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, described by the BBC as the real Queen of Pop and influencing everybody from Britney Spears to Taylor Swift to Harry Styles. My name is...
Shania Twain.
What a star. She's great.
Amazing.
I love her. And like when she crossed over, all the country people are going, that's not country, that's not country.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it is.
Get up,
Listen to her backstory. Of course she's country. Go away, you bastards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, leave her alone. And Mutt Lang was a bastard too.
He was a prick. Yeah, he took advantage.
Badly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got his money, the pig. Yeah.
So
Sorry, I'm okay now.
Rossy.
yeah, settle
Rossy,
down.
never
So
seen you so
needless to
agitated.
say, I did not get that. So
You didn't
at
get-
all.
Shania
Not
Twain,
at all.
I'm sure that there would be a lot of requests when you're doing covers for Shania.
We do get Man, I Feel Like a Woman requested often, but we rarely play it because it's too hard, if I'm honest.
She can
Fair enough.
sing that.
Yeah.
That girl can sing,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay.
The
so
backstory's
Laura,
a ripper too, isn't it?
Oh, and that doco on, is it Netflix that it's on? I don't know, but
I haven't
whatever.
seen it. I haven't seen it, okay.
Oh, go watch it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Really good.
okay,
I
so
surely will.
Laura,
Hey, we're getting close to kickoff.
I know.
Yeah.
So Laura, what's next? What's on
next?
the cards? What's happening? What's
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you guys an exclusive because we've had such a fun time.
I love it exclusive.
There's a new song coming on the 15th of September.
Cool.
And it will have a new video attached as well. And this will be the first video that Nick and I have not directed or produced.
Oh.
So,
Ooh.
which will be interesting.
Scary?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was scary. One of the stipulations of getting this particular person to direct it was that she had creative control. And I said, let's do it. So I'm excited to, I haven't seen it yet, but I have no doubt that it's going to be awesome.
Oh, fantastic.
Excellent.
And then I'm going on tour with Tom Curtin. So I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's won a couple of golden guitars. He's a Aussie country singer. Been around the traps for a while. He owns Catherine Outback Experience up in the Northern Territory.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And he goes on tour and does his like working horse and dog show and then sing some songs. So we're going on to him, which is like over 50 shows, 4 states from October to April.
Oh,
So
Excellent.
that's
in
gonna be
fact
awesome.
that's in fact what we call a tour. Just so you
That's
know.
a proper tour.
Really
Yeah.
a tour. That's a real tour.
Yep.
And there'll be
That's
tents
so
involved at some stage, I suspect.
there will
Yeah.
definitely we're actually in the process of trying to figure out how we're going to sleep on the road. So we'll figure that out. But we're playing mostly in showgrounds, which is also
Oh, it's going to be so much fun, Laura.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Want to
you're
hear
going-
about that?
Yeah, when you've done that, you will have to get you back on the
Yeah.
show so you can share some of those on the road showground little stories that you've had.
Totally.
So, Laura,
Well, I think
sorry.
you're doing all the right things, Laura. I think you should
Thanks,
keep
Braggy.
going. I
I'm
think
trying.
you should. Yeah, I think it's really good. I think you should just fuck those
Keep going.
guys in the Tamworth. Just stick to your guns and
Go north. Go north.
yeah,
Queensland. Go
Yeah.
to Queensland. Forget New South Wales.
yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
Absolutely. So it's been awesome chatting with you. So over the next couple of weeks, guys, we are going to have a wide variety of shows. We've got more artists coming up. So over the next couple of weeks, we look forward to chatting to Sammy Palinkas, David Kirkpatrick from Two Tone Pony, young Indigenous artist Nathan May, really looking forward to that one,
Cool.
and Chloe Styler coming up, all coming on the show. And somewhere in between that, we'll have Neil and Kathy from Suitcase Records. So we've got a bit of a busy month ahead, and it's always nice that people want to come on the show and have a chat. So we're really appreciative of that.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this and you want to come on and talk about the music, just contact us, whether it's through the Facebook page or via the website. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe, leave a review. We always love that. We're on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. We've added a couple of Laura's songs to the Unfiltered and Undiscovered playlist. We are now at 260, roughly, give or take, songs
Yeah,
on that
you're going to need
playlist.
to split that into sections, I think.
Until
big.
we get, we need a week's worth, right? So,
Okay,
so
whatever.
we
Go from
can
one
do-
episode to the next episode. all unfiltered all the time.
Absolutely. So please check out that playlist. And as always, if you like the artist, make sure you follow them too, because they're putting out some great music. And the lyrics from the playlist, and it's the song "Everybody Moves" by Died Pretty, written by Brett Miles and the incomparable Ron Pino. Now comes July as we brave this change in scene where lives go sinking and the light has never been. Despair brings us some to the point of no return. Still others listen now to the sounds of all we yearn. R.I.P. Ron Pino. Thanks, Laura, for being such a great sport tonight and a great chat. And for everyone else, we will see you all again next week. Thanks, guys.
See you.
Shadows disappear to wanderlight as ghosts of once friends wander round inside the night. Between sadness and the sounds of wars and rage, you all hail sallow and wallow in this darkest day. Still, everybody moves, everybody changing, everybody moves away from me. Now comes July as we brave this changing scene, where lives go sinking and the light has never been. Despair brings some to the point of no return. Still others listen now to the sounds of all we yearn. Still, everybody moves, everybody changes, everybody moves.